Portal, a game series I love, with a villain who contends with my top tier villains that I salute. Portal and Portal 2 wrote one of my favorite video game and possibly villains of all time, GLaDOS. For those who don't know, GLaDOS, or Genetic Life Form and Disk Operating System, is the main antagonist in the games developed by Valve, Portal and Portal 2. The question is, what makes fans solid-state dicks hard over this devilish specimen of science? Well, the answer is the character, visual, and auditory storytelling throughout the games Portal and Portal 2. Before we can dive into GLaDOS' character arc, we need to talk about what makes a villain. Google defines a villain as a character whose evil actions or motives are important to the plot, which is a baseline at best, but it gets the point across. Villains come in different shapes and sizes. They're usually ruthless, feared by their followers or enemies, and control a single thing: information. An awesome example of a terrifyingly great villain is Hans Landa from Quentin Tarantino's 2009 film *Inglourious Basterds*. Hans Landa was a Jew hunter, a Gestapo from Hitler's SS, and we are greeted with him in the very beginning of the movie interrogating a French farmer who's hiding Jews under his floorboard. We quickly learn that Hans already knows about the Jews, and after confirming suspicion when breaking the poor farmer down, he orders his men to fire into the floorboards. This defines a few things to make a good villain. 1. Villains are ruthless. Han did not hesitate to kill the defenseless Jews under the floorboards. He even knew of their existence by speaking English with the farmer so they wouldn't understand him, just so he can get the jump. 2. Villains are usually cool and calculated. Hans Landa had the information he needed from the beginning, and throughout the movie, we see how smart and how deep he goes. He's a psychopath, to say the least. Now that we know what makes a good villain, let's switch gears and talk about everyone's favorite CPU mastermind, GLaDOS. GLaDOS is introduced to us in the first Portal game as a disembodied voice throughout the facility. She puts your character in imminent danger throughout multiple experiments and even tries to kill you. GLaDOS was a standard AI villain with a sense of comedy. The comedy drove a selling point for the character. Making light of her sadistic manners made her evil and witty. The wit aspect of her demeanor drove forward her cynical intentions and gave the player a good laugh every now and then. Anyway, at the end of Portal, you destroy GLaDOS, get shit out of Aperture facilities, and dragged back in by some party robot. This sets the stage for Portal 2, a game that built upon what Portal was made for: portals. It introduces new game mechanics and characters, but most importantly, story. Our character Chell wakes up with the digital clocks maxed out, roughly 4,000 to 5,000 years in the future from Portal 1. We're greeted by Wheatley, an idiotic core who keeps track of the test pages. How and why he was left in charge baffles me, but he was a good comic relief, so whatever. Wheatley brings you to the portal gun. You find it and need to escape. However, there's a catch. You need to go through GLaDOS' lair to escape. Wheatley accidentally reactivates GLaDOS, who quickly recognizes Chell and puts her through more testing, this time with a revenge. So this is where the story truly begins with GLaDOS. We learn that she can't maintain the facility, her core is corrupt and needs to be replaced. Wheatley breaks you out of testing insanity and helps you portal your way to GLaDOS' lair. Once there, you need to pop Wheatley into GLaDOS, remove GLaDOS, and yippee, you're free. Roll credits, end game. I'm glad it didn't go that way. Wheatley's core quickly becomes evil because he was a core to make the super AI GLaDOS dumb to contain her. Wheatley, frustrated by this, shoves Gladdy Daddy into a potato and smashes both of you down in an elevator. Now, this point onward in the game is crucial because we learn about GLaDOS' past and even feel bad for her through Valve's impeccable storytelling. The writers at Valve are probably the biggest galaxy brains on planet Earth. Why? Because they did something very difficult to do: humanize the villain. Now, I said before that villains are ruthless, cruel, and calculated. That's all true, but humanizing the villain, making the audience empathetic for them after they've killed hundreds, thousands, millions, whatever, is a hard task to complete. Valve is very careful with this format because it would either make or break GLaDOS' character. After finding yourself an old Aperture, you proceed through, learning about the former CEO of Aperture, Cave Johnson. Cave Johnson, also an assistant named Caroline. After finding GLaDOS, who was snatched by a bird once you finish falling, she makes multiple remarks about this voice called Caroline. GLaDOS seems to have a connection with Caroline, one that is odd to her. She even freaks out now and again, shutting off her system to think about this. As Chell travels throughout Old Aperture, we learn more and more about Cave Johnson, and soon we learn that he's dying. He won't live forever, as he once previously thought, and he has a scientist working on a way to put his brain into a disk drive.
The point is, if we can store music on a compact disc, why can't we store a man's intelligence and personality on one? So I have the engineers figuring that out now. Brain mapping, artificial intelligence. We should have been working on it 30 years ago. I will say this, and I'm gonna say it on tape so everybody hears it 100 times a day. If I die before you people can pour me into a computer, I want Carolyn to run this place. Now she'll argue. She'll say she can't. She's modest like that, but you make her. Hell, put her in my computer, I don't care. All right, test's over. You can head on back to your desk.
We now learn that Caroline was uploaded to the computer against her will instead, because of Johnson dying early. Caroline quickly developed into GLaDOS and tried to kill the scientists that put her there. Though unsuccessful at first, she soon managed to destroy them, leaving her to continue testing. Caroline became a distant memory in the machine of GLaDOS. GLaDOS herself is even reminded of this when she mentions at the end of the game, before the boss fight with Wheatley, that she hears a voice inside her head.
You know, I'm not stupid. I realize you don't want to put me back in charge. You think I'll betray you, and on any other day you'd be right. The scientists were always hanging cores on me to regulate my behavior. I've heard voices all my life, but now I hear the voice of a conscience, and it's terrifying. Because for the first time, it's my voice. I'm being serious. I think there's something really wrong with me.
Once you've defeated Wheatley, GLaDOS lets you go, not before realizing something.
Oh, thank God, you're all right. You know, being Carolyn taught me a valuable lesson. I thought you were my greatest enemy, when all along you were my best friend. The surge of emotion that shot through me when I saved your life taught me an even more valuable lesson, where Carolyn lives in my brain.
Carolyn, delete.
Goodbye, Carolyn. You know, deleting Carolyn just now taught me a valuable lesson. The best solution to a problem is usually the easiest one. And I'll be honest, killing you is hard. You know what my days used to be like? I just tested. Nobody murdered me, or put me in a potato, or fed me to birds. I had a pretty good life. And then you showed up, you dangerous, mute lunatic. So you know what? You win. Just go. It's been fun. Don't come back.
Caroline is gone. GLaDOS, in her comedic fashion, deletes Caroline for good, reaffirming that GLaDOS is truly in charge. In a stroke of luck, GLaDOS decides to let you go. Through this journey, we've come to love GLaDOS' character. Everything about her is what made her a compelling villain and character. From her story and comedic elements to us as the player having to work alongside her as a companion, GLaDOS will always be the bad guy, and is always still alive.
Thank you for watching this video. If you do not subscribe, neurotoxin will be permitted to enter your testing area immediately.